Hello, my name is Kemi Emmanuel. Welcome to my Purpose Pathway podcast. Today, I am looking at a title, From Addiction to Ambition. And I have someone really, really special with me today. Her name is Kate Stapleton, and we will be looking at her journey of recovery, faith, and her entrepreneurial success. Now, this is the Purpose Pathway podcast where we explore powerful stories of healing, wholeness, and having a voice. And again, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm your host, Kemi Emmanuel, global author, publishing coach, and mental health practitioner. And I am going to invite Kate to introduce herself now. Kate, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us more about yourself?
Me, I'm very glad to be here. Yes, my name is Kate, and I am a multi-hyphenate. I'm a business coach, life coach, qualified personal trainer, nutritionist, and soon to be qualified hypnotherapist as well. And I've converged all of those roles into one package. And it's a very young company, but it's doing well so far.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And I have more. This is the bit that really, really, kind of resonates with our purpose pathway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pathway that you took to get to where you were. So I'm just going to talk about your bio, just so that people can understand a bit more about you. You, Kate, have described yourself as a former addict turned entrepreneur, which is amazing. That is an amazing fit, You have overcome challenges that will stop most in their tracks through physical disability, neurodivergence, and a 24-year battle with drug and alcohol addiction. That's amazing. Now, you're multiple years clean and sober, and your faith in God is taking you to new levels. I really love that. You run a thriving coach, wellness, and executive support service for stressed professionals, using your story as your most powerful asset. And that's what we're really interested in today in the Purpose Pathway, your story and how you got here. From your bio, your mission is to spread a message of recovery, hope, and success to as many people as possible. I really, really love that, because that is exactly what my mission is as well, is to spread that hope and to give people a voice. And today, Kate, you have a voice with me.
Thank you.
You will be able to tell us exactly how you got here, how you got to this wonderful place that I know a lot of people, because I'm a mental health practitioner and I work with a lot of people who are going through addiction and they're going through trauma. Usually the trauma precedes the addiction. So there's usually something that leads them to that place where it becomes an addiction. And so I would like to know how you managed to navigate your way, because a lot of people struggle to do this, and I see this on a day-to-day basis as part of my job. So my first question to you, Kate, I'm just going to go straight in, down the jugular. Take us back to the beginning. What was life like before recovery? And when did you know things had to change? In fact, go as far back as, how did you get into that? How did you get into it?
Yes, absolutely. I first started self-medicating at the age of 8. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, and it's my firm belief that around that time was when the mental noise became just too much. And my mum, single disabled parent, she gave me Piriton to help me sleep. And I rather liked the drowsiness and the sort of the warm, cozy feeling. So I started stealing the Piriton and essentially sort of putting myself to sleep at night. And I'm not quite sure how Mum didn't realise that the Piriton was going down so quickly, but she didn't quite twig. So fast forward a few years to when I was 14 years old, I had my first alcoholic drink. Well, I'd had sips at Christmas, like parents give their children little sips of baby sham or something
Mm,
incredibly mild. But my first actual drink was to get drunk. And soon after that followed, I'm showing my age here, but cannabis resin. And I fell in with an older crowd, people sort of 19, 20, 21 when I was a
mm.
14-year-old girl. So yes, I started smoking resin. Then soon after that, there was the sort of the progression, the pathway that I'm sure, being in mental health, you would know about
Yes,
the
of
gateway
course.
drugs and the pathway to the stronger
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mhm.
I progressed through each stage and ended up smoking heroin when I was 18 years old.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing, isn't it? It
Yes,
is amazing that you at 7, it's so easy for a child to get into that pathway. It's so easy for you to start thinking, okay, I'm going to take this drugs, and then to get to 14, to then have people who are happy to, to encourage you,
mm,
probably
yeah,
by providing the drugs or whatever. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going through this as well. So I'm really grateful that you've broken it down, like that. And as parents, I think there's something to be heard there, isn't it?
there
As
is.
parents, because we tend to give our children these things just to help them. Oh, we're just going to give them Puritan to help them calm down,
Yeah,
but we don't know the personality of the child that we've got, and I'm sure, like you said, being neurodivergent, there probably were issues that you were dealing with that no one knew about,
yes.
which again, that was a way of kind of calming things down for you,
Very
you know.
much, very much. It's the as soon as I realised that I might be neurodivergent, and I spoke to my
Mm,
GP, and he did I think there's 11 questions, and I answered yes to pretty much every single one. And then as soon as I saw ADHD in myself, I looked back at my life and everything fell into place. That
mm,
constant stream of noise in my head, and I thought that was normal. I thought everybody had that, but they don't.
well,
So I think I was trying to drown out that noise, and then that's triggered the disease of addiction.
wow.
So it's definitely a cause and effect in my eyes there.
It certainly is, because I see a lot of that. A lot of people who are neurodivergent, especially with ADHD, I see that they go down the pathway of drugs,
Mm,
because these things are constantly in your head. I know the feeling as well, so I'm not going to come out here, but I know the feeling, and this is why I am constantly doing so many different things. But you know it's it's just not knowing how to manage it, and I
mm,
see this a lot, and it really breaks my heart, because people who could have done so much with their lives, because they didn't know how to manage that constant noise. Even I said yesterday, I was still speaking to a patient about, the noise that doesn't stop. It's just
mm,
constant, and a lot of them, like I said, use the drugs as a way to manage. So
yeah,
it's kind of like a way to self-medicate, if you like.
yeah,
But the great thing is that you got to your place of a turning point, and that would
absolutely.
be my next question.
Sure.
So, what happened? How did you get to this point where you now decided that I'm going to turn around? And what was going on in that period? Was there a relationship? Was there friends? What went happened then? And then you just decided, no, I've had enough of this.
Well, there were relationships. There was two marriages. It was my first husband that introduced me to heroin.
Mm,
That lasted about 3 months, and then a relationship with my drug dealer that produced my son, and then another marriage to an alcoholic. Very very toxic marriage there. But the
mm,
end point for me was I'd got off heroin, but I'd cross addicted to powder cocaine and alcohol. And
wow.
because it was so socially acceptable, everybody in the pub was having a few lines in the bathroom and drinking and all that. And then suddenly COVID happened. And then it was my sort of partying went to new levels. I was self-isolating around at my ex-partner's house, and he lived just a 2-minute walk from a supermarket. So every day I was going in for, I don't know, I'd get maybe a couple of potatoes and then 3 bottles of wine and cans of
Wow.
cider. And the dealers, I mean, obviously they're not considering themselves to be bound by laws like stay at home, so they were still
Mm,
walking around and doing their drop-offs. And it was just a solid, from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, a solid drug fest. And it got it got expensive for a start. I was made redundant from my job. I worked at a theatre, and obviously given the nature of lockdown, they just said no, we're getting rid of everybody.
mm,
um and yeah, it was a really, really difficult time, but then lockdown eased up. Um but I'd got to the point where I didn't want to live.
mm,
I couldn't stop using. I was powerless over the drugs and the drink. I wanted to stop, but I didn't know how. So I was dealing with the mental health services at the time, and it was my mental health nurse that suggested the 12 steps to me.
mm.
And I went to stay with my stepdad because I knew I needed to get away from the town I was in, because I would just keep using
Yes.
and using and using. So I
Yes.
went to stay with my stepdad for I think it was a couple of weeks in the end. And while I was there, I did my first ever 12-step Zoom meeting, and I
Wow.
thought, these are my people.
Mm,
Um, so I initially got clean, but I relapsed because I didn't give myself completely to the program. I didn't
mm,
surrender completely to God as my higher power. And I
mm.
went back to my ex-partner, who was still, he had a vested interest in me still using,
Cool.
because I was the one that paid for the substances. Excuse me. So I relapsed, and then I'd been to a local 12-step meeting, and I'd met a few people. So during the relapse started in the September, and it was the following February. I was in and out of recovery. I'd do sort of 2 weeks, and then I'd slip up, and then I'd get even
Wow.
worse. And then I remember messaging one of the ladies that I'd met at the meeting, and I just said, "Look, I can't do this anymore." And she said, "Well, you know what the solution is? Come to the meeting." So
Mm,
I did go to the meeting, and that lady became my sponsor. And although I had a couple more slip ups, I remember vividly. I messaged her and I said, "I've just sniffed my last line, and I haven't, over 3 years since then, I haven't touched a drug or a drink."
wow. Wow. That is amazing. Now, what I want you to do now is just to break down what this 12 steps program is, just so that our viewers and listeners can, follow, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are, who are struggling, with what you were struggling with, because
Yes,
that's why it's called an addiction, for heaven's sake,
absolutely.
you can't help it. So, and I remember most of the time when I do training, and I have families coming up to me and saying, oh, my mom is addicted, and I, can't you guys just section her and things like that, and I'm
Mm,
saying, it's not as easy as that, and then I have to speak to my colleagues and say, are we just going to let this person kill themselves? Well, they have capacity. That's always the thing, there's capacity, and I keep asking, if somebody is in this state, how can they have capacity, really? But
yeah,
as a mental health professional, I know that from that perspective, they have capacity,
yeah,
but when you look at it, so break down the steps, just a quick
sure.
summary of what's involved.
Well, the engine room of the program is this is any 12-step program. There's a lot of them. I mean, Alcoholics Anonymous is the most obvious one.
Yes.
There's different, anything you can get addicted to or anything you can struggle with. I mean, there's Emotions Anonymous. So the whole concept is that God, as your higher power, the God of your understanding, removes the problem when
Hmm.
you surrender completely to them. I'm not
Mm,
going to say to him, because it's a spiritual program. It's not a religious one,
mm,
even though I am Christian, but that
mhm.
came later.
Okay.
So in surrendering completely, you're putting your hands up and you're saying, "My life is unmanageable and I am powerless." And
Hmm.
then you become convinced that the God of your understanding can restore you to sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 3, you give your will and your life to your higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 4, it's called a searching and fearless moral inventory. So you look at all your resentments, all the disagreements you've ever had with people, and you look at your part in it. You don't do the other person's inventory. You look at your part. And you say,
Mm-hmm.
where was
Mm-hmm.
I wrong? Doesn't matter about them. Did I do something wrong here? Did I cause them to feel that way about me and to act that way? Did I put myself in a situation where this
Mm-hmm.
could happen? And you take responsibility for it. You tell your
Yes.
sponsor, you own up to it, and you ask God to, I'll just use the word God rather than higher power, because I mean,
Yes,
that's what I
please.
mean. It's
Yes.
all encompassing. You
Yeah,
ask
that
God
makes more sense.
to take away the character defects that have been identified in your inventory. And
Mm.
then I think this is where the bit that sets 12 steppers apart from people that haven't done them. You make a
Mm-hmm.
list of everybody you've harmed and you make amends to them. You
Mm.
own up, you say sorry, you say, can I put this right? I hope you can forgive me. And
Mm.
here comes my dog. So then it's the last 3 steps are maintenance steps, where you continue to take inventory. If you're wrong, you admit it and you say sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at some point in that process, for me, it happened just after my step 4, my inventory.
Mm.
God removed the desire to use and drink.
Wow.
It's a mental obsession. It's an allergy of the body. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's been seen where the brain of an addict fires differently to the brain of a non-addict.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I believe we react differently to dopamine. That
Of course.
a normal person could say have a drink, or maybe
Mm.
even go and have a line on a weekend, and then they just put the drugs away in a drawer, forget about it,
And they're
and
fine.
then a few weeks later, oh look what I found. Um, but for us, we respond so strongly to the dopamine that we have to keep having it. Have to, have to,
Mm.
have to. And then the
Yes.
mental obsession drives the thought of it. So you're constantly thinking, how can I get this next? How can I get my next bag or my next drink? So
Mm.
God will remove that mental obsession. So you don't
Brilliant.
put the first one in you. The only solution is entire abstinence.
That's it. It's to be fair, I am a minister and I'm a Christian, so I like the idea of God.
Yes, yes.
you know, and I know that I have seen so many people with addiction, and one of the key ways in which they've been able to come out of it is when they have God. You know,
Absolutely.
I have seen, people who were pedophile. I know someone who was a pedophile. He had gone to prison, done his time, and
Hmm.
came out and had found God. And that was the only way he could come out of that situation,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's quite interesting, that you have to go through that kind of program, because that's the only way. I
Mm.
know people who go and do detox. I know people who do rehab. They do this rehab. They spend thousands.
Yeah.
They come back, and the day they come out, that's it. They're back to normal.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that spiritual, that mental side of it has not been dealt with.
No.
So you can deal with the craving, you can deal with all of that, but as soon as your mind and your mental state has not been done,
Mm.
then you can't get out of it.
Absolutely.
So it's I remember someone came to me and they were like, I feel guilty going back to the people that were supporting me, because I've spent so much money going to rehab,
Mm.
and I've just relapsed as soon as I've come out. So
Yeah.
I feel guilty even going back there. So the guilt is another thing that stops people, isn't it, from actually
Yes.
seeking help. So that takes me to my next question. So it works really well, because the question is faith in the journey. So where did faith come into this? You've spoken about how your faith in God has been key to your transformation.
Yes.
Can you share how your faith guided you through recovery? So this time, obviously you said initially there wasn't the Christian God involved. So how did you get to that place of Christianity?
Well, my sponsor is a Christian, and I just I just absorbed. I asked her questions and I absorbed her message, And it just came into my head one day. I thought, I want to go to church. So I went to church, and I still go to that same church 2 and a bit years on, and I've even been called to priesthood. God
Oh,
wants me on the payroll. Yes, I
oh,
know he's going to
well
use me. So
done.
yeah, I felt the call, and
Oh, that's awesome.
I've got things I need to accomplish first, and
Yes,
there's a lot of personal development that I need to undergo before I'm ready to start discernment. But it's definitely it's on the cards at some
oh,
point in my future.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
I'd like to have a successful business and then go into priesthood, and having done my bit in the commercial world, so to speak.
Definitely, definitely. To be fair, I'm a minister of the gospel as well, and I've always been in business, and I've always been in this. I don't, joke with my ministerial roles and the things that I
Mm,
do. Everything I do is about being able to transform lives,
yes,
and I think that's what we are here for. How can we
absolutely.
make a difference in people's lives? What is the point coming and you're just there and you don't make a change and you go back and there's nothing to show for it?
Hmm.
So I think that's really important. So how what was it? Once you decided, okay, I'm going to start going to church. I'm going to know this God. Was there like a moment where you now had a conversation with God, or a lot of people say, oh, I God spoke to me at some point, and then you know it's like the Damascus experience with
Mm,
Apostle Paul in the Bible. Did you
yeah.
have that kind of thing? Was it a thing?
Yes, I've got God's mobile number. I've been in constant contact with him. Once you give your life to him, he's pretty active in yours. In the 12 steps, there's a section called the promises, and in there is the line, God will start doing for us what we could not do for ourselves.
Yes.
Once you give yourself to God, then He will run your life for you. And
Mm,
initially, I had some loud and clear instructions.
mm,
And there was absolutely no doubt that this was God talking to me. As
mm,
times progressed, I mean, for the last 7 months, apart from where I've been doing my inventory, and he's pointed out a couple of character flaws that I wasn't
mhm.
seeing, he's been pretty quiet. So I'm hoping that I'm doing his will by doing this business idea, but I'm having to work for it. It's not given to me on a plate.
No, of course. Of
It's
course.
uh, it's a daily challenge, but I have faith that, as you all know, God works for the good of those who love Him.
Yes.
So I'm I'm hoping that everything will work out with the business, and my
It
sugar
will.
course will sell and all sorts. But no, it's amazing. It really is, and I've had quite a few moments of uh, God speaking to me.
Oh, brilliant. The Bible says that all things work together for good to them that love
Absolutely,
God and are called according to his purpose. So if you are working in purpose, you know that things will work, you know.
yes,
And,
yes.
we're going to talk about your course, later, because I
Hmm.
think you have an amazing course. So we're going to talk about that because I think it's something that everyone, including myself, I'll tell you, probably needs, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the next question I'm looking at is overcoming multiple challenges.
Yes,
Now, you face not just addiction, and like the British bosses, they come in threes, don't they?
they do. They do indeed.
When you've been waiting forever, all
Yep.
three of them are going to come in at the same time. So
Yes.
I don't know if that's your experience, but you've not just faced addiction, you've now faced physical disability and neurodivergence.
Yes.
So, how have these shaped the person you are and the entrepreneur you've ended up being?
Well, it's do you know what? I wouldn't change any of it. I've had mental health challenges in my time. I was diagnosed with, depending on which psychiatrist, either bipolar disorder or EUPD.
Mm-hmm.
So I've battled with that for a while, but since I've been in recovery, the medication that I've been prescribed has actually had a chance to work, rather than
Brilliant.
me drinking on top of it and it not working.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
risperidone. You'll know it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Very done.
So basically, it's been challenging, but I would rather have a body that struggles than a mind that struggles. Now
Mm.
I can think clearly and, well, as
Mm.
clear as somebody with ADHD can, but I'm even medicated for that because I went private.
So are
Um,
you getting medication for your ADHD as
yes, I'm
well?
medicated for the
Okay.
ADHD now.
Is it
It doesn't
helping?
trigger my addiction. I was worried that it would, but it hasn't done. It's absolutely fine.
But
Um,
is it helping you around the focus, the concentration?
Oh
Is it helping
yes,
you?
yes.
Brilliant.
It's absolutely life changing. It really is. And I remember
Good.
the first time I took it, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is what normal people feel.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was incredible.
Okay.
It was like a light bulb moment. But yeah, but no, going back to the MS, I was diagnosed in 2014. Sorry, the alarm going off. I was diagnosed in 2014, but it wasn't really a problem until July 2022, and
Mm,
then it made up for lost time. It became absolutely savage, and so I was
wow.
in and out of hospital on steroids. I was
Mm,
in a wheelchair for 18 months, and
mm.
it was really, really quite nasty. But thanks to God, I'm in remission and I have my mobility back, which kind of helps when you're a personal trainer. So
That
that's,
is so amazing.
yeah. So
I
yeah,
love that testimony. Yes.
God gave me my mobility back, and
Amazing.
it was a sort of a very, very strong, energetic awakening, and it came about when I was deep in prayer. So 100% God. So
Definitely. I
yeah,
love this.
absolutely. So
I
yeah,
love
so
this. Yes.
he's given me my mobility back. He's given me the ability to walk my dog, my dogs, down on the beach. Because I was on my mobility scooter and I just looked down at the shoreline and think I'd love to go and paddle in the sea, but there's no way I could have walked there. It's far too far. I could take about 10 steps before
Yeah.
before the energetic awakening. And now I go on 2 or 3 mile-and-a-half walks a day. So
Oh, wow.
I know.
That is amazing. I am so glad that I am part of this podcast because I remember interviewing someone who got healed of HIV as well.
Oh
It was
wow.
the same thing. She had full blown AIDS. It wasn't just HIV. She had full blown AIDS, and they thought she was going to die,
Yeah.
but she's alive 15 years
Oh,
later.
amazing. God is
So
good.
this God is so good. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
guys. You're doing an amazing job sharing this information. This
Any
is
chance I get to
really
share what God's done, I will share.
thank you. And this is wholeness. You see, you now whole, and then you are having a voice. So this is definitely what this podcast is really about. So thank you so much.
No,
And it's
it's
good to see.
amazing.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'm really pleased with that. Okay, so moving on, let's go into your entrepreneurship now after your
Okay.
recovery. So tell us, how did you get to become an entrepreneur? How did you get into your coaching, your wellness, your executive support service? You're doing so much. You're like me, doing a lot
I
of
know.
things.
I love doing different things because no 2 days are the same.
No.
So I've spent my working life, even though I was an addict, I always worked, and I was in management accountancy. So I part
Mm,
qualified with SEMA, the Management Accountants Charter,
yes, yes, totally.
and I had roles supporting directors and all that sort of stuff. So
Mm,
that was what I knew. That was my bread and butter. But when I became too ill to work, I had to give up my job in the non-profit sector because they were a charity.
mm,
They couldn't just create a new role for me. So
mm-hmm.
I stepped back from that. And during that time, I thought, well, I need to create a life for myself that I can do from a computer. So I
Yes.
thought, I know, I'm going to go into coaching.
Hmm.
And I got my level 5 coaching award, did a further certificate in coaching. So I had a good awareness of all the different models. I'm
Mm-hmm.
even doing further coach training at the moment, executive
Oh,
coaching.
brilliant, brilliant.
So, so I started doing that. I started a little community interest company with the aim of coaching people in early recovery. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't really a goer. It didn't start off very well. So I folded that
Mm,
eventually. Went back to work for a little while, working from home, and then I gave that up and thought, no, I'm actually going to do this.
Mm.
So I'd qualified as a personal trainer, as a nutritionist, and I thought I'm going to offer everything. I'm just going to just offer the lot. And out of
Uh-huh.
it, fusion coaching was born. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
Yes.
so it's kind of it's a service for anybody that's struggling overall with life. You know, they hate Mondays. They're out of breath climbing stairs. They're surviving on caffeine and adrenaline and no sleep, and it's a service for that sort of very stressed
Everybody.
professional.
Yes, that that is amazing, because to be honest, like I said, I resonate with that,
Hmm.
because for me as well, I have gone and done everything. I was a businesswoman. Did a business degree, then I went and did teaching, and then I've been a coach, and so yes, so I get you.
Yes,
That
yeah.
need to do so many different things, and now I've brought them all together.
Oh, brilliant.
And
Yeah,
so, which is why I see ADHD as a superpower, not as a
definitely.
disability. Someone said it's a different type of ability. That's what it
Yes.
is,
Yeah.
and I can see that you've just done that. You've used that superpower to create this opportunity for yourself,
Mm.
and for others, because people are going to learn from this. Um, bear with me. People are going to learn from this.
Yes, so people will learn from it, and I fully believe that God is using me, and He's put us two together for this podcast. Tech.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, tell us about your entrepreneurial um, ideas. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, given that I'm also a student hypnotherapist, complete ADHD fashion, I was going to do everything all at once. Signed up for a course, a 3-year course in counselling, and the first year is hypnotherapy and counselling skills. I actually love hypnotherapy.
Oh,
It's I've got a real talent for it, and it's given me some insider knowledge to the subconscious mind. And fusion coaching uses that knowledge
mm,
to really embed change.
hmm,
I'm not allowed to practice hypnotherapy itself just yet because I've not graduated just yet. But I can use the knowledge to ensure that people, when they want to make change, that the change is fully embedded
hmm.
and the subconscious is on board.
Oh, yeah, the subconscious.
So there's a little secret there.
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting. Okay, so let's go on. Um, so, how do you use your story to help stressed professionals? So,
Well, I think a lot of it is the absolute unconditional empathy,
mm,
positive regard. It's a Carl Rogers thing
yeah, outrageous.
with UPR, unconditional positive regard.
Yes.
They can tell me anything, and I'm not going to be shocked. In fact, I've probably done worse than what they've done. So I can reassure them, and it's given me a lot more experience of dealing with all different types of people. It's given me experience of dealing with people that aren't quite so nice.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of knowledge of the full, facets of human nature,
Mm,
and I'm a lot sharper around people. Not sharper in tone of voice or anything,
mhm,
but I have a greater
mm,
insight because of my greater experience with people than say somebody who's had quite a quite a nice life.
yeah.
I think the fact that I've got trauma in my past and I've got this awareness of people, awareness of humanity, I think it makes me a better informed coach.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
Mm,
And that is the same thing. When I'm talking to my clients, that's what I say. I actually use myself as an example and the things that I've been through, because
hmm.
people can relate to that. You know, they
Yes.
feel that you're being authentic with them. We
Definitely.
have no judgment. You can't be in mental health and have judgment. It doesn't work. You have to go in believing that this person needs help and you're there to help them. So I
Yes.
think that is an amazing thing, knowing that you can say, listen, it doesn't matter what you tell me.
Mm.
It doesn't, and that's the truth. That's the way I look at things. It doesn't matter what you tell me.
Yeah.
What matters is
Yeah.
that you're here and you're seeking help. How can you help?
Absolutely.
So I think that's a brilliant thing. And that takes me also to the next question, which is about the mindset shift. Mindset shift. What was the biggest mindset change you had to make going from surviving to thriving? How
I
did
love
you
that.
pop to?
I love that.
Yes.
I think joining Global Woman Club has been the absolute the real shift that I needed. Instead of thinking, well, I'm disabled and I'm an addict, and I sort of had myself quite low down. But it's actually made me think, yes, I can. I can
Yes.
do this. I've had a book in me for so long. I love writing. I'm a very good writer. So I've been wanting to write a book. I've just had no direction.
Well, you're
And
in the right place, aren't you?
exactly, exactly. So now I have the
You
direction and I
do.
have supportive women around me. I think that's been the biggest shift. I was always a positive person. I was never one that was, even when I was in a wheelchair, I was always really positive
Brilliant.
and upbeat and sort of, sun shining rather than, grey and all that sort of thing. So, but actually to think I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a very recent shift, and it's been it's been responsible for the birth of fusion coaching and
Wow.
for getting my course up and running, for all these wonderful things I've made happen with, well, God has made happen
Through
through
you.
me,
I
should I
like that.
say.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's funny because
definitely.
again, that's why I resonate so much with you, because my testimony is very similar. I started
Hmm.
writing from a place of pain, and I started last year. And,
Hmm.
like I said, 26 books later, you know, exactly a year later, I started my publishing um, process,
Excellent.
helping other people to publish their books, because I have now been able to master the process. And, you know, I believe everybody has a book in them. I
Mm.
honestly believe that. You might not know how to articulate it, but I believe that your story, somebody wants to hear about it. And I'm all about
Yes.
stories. In fact, I've been looking at this thing called this therapy, narrative therapy, and I'm doing a lot of
Oh,
study.
wow.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of study around it. In fact, I have a speaking gig I'm going to be doing on that. You know, so
Fabulous.
it is actually a thing, an expressive writing. So definitely we will be talking about that. I
Excellent.
would be so glad to help with writing your story, because I feel that there's so much life in it.
Mm.
You've got such background, and people want to hear what you've got to say. I meet
Yeah.
addicts every time. They're struggling. They want somebody who knows what it feels like, who can tell them that this is what you can do. This is where I've been, and this is how you can go about it. So that's an amazing thing, and I think you will get there. So
Mm.
finally, what is your
Okay.
message before we do that? Because my
Yes.
latest book is called The Woman in Red. So now I'm leaving the woman in red. So I try and get myself into a red outfit.
Oh, lovely.
And it gives me that confidence, that boldness, which I believe the woman in red has. What does a woman in red mean to you?
That's definitely Global Woman Club,
Ah,
because we were all. I dressed up in red for the day. I had this lovely red dress that I've not had a chance to wear out. So it was long sleeve, but it was appropriate for summer. It was very light,
yes,
so I thought, I'm gonna wear that dress, and I went in my red dress, and everybody else was wearing red, and there was all this boldness, this
oh
brightness,
wow,
this
I
colour,
know,
and
isn't it?
yeah, so I have my next red dress lined up for the September meeting,
Yes,
and it represents, it just speaks Global Woman Club.
yes,
It's
yes,
everything. The values are just this wonderful, bright, bold, we can do this
Yes,
sort of attitude.
which is true, because being in a Global Woman Club has been an amazing experience. I've only been in it for a few months now, but time flies, doesn't it? I think
It
I've been
does.
to, it's been 3 or 4 months, and it's amazing, the things
Mm,
that, like you said, when you hear people, there's the encouragement, there's that need for you to achieve because other people are achieving around you, and you have all these
mhm.
bold women. And it was some of the women in the Global Women Club who were wearing red, and I could see, the boldness and the things that they had done. And I thought, yeah, the woman in red, you know, that's who they are, the woman in red. And I started to look at the significance of red. What does red mean? Red
Mm,
is blood, is life. Red is fire.
yes.
Red is passion. Red is love. So I started to look into all of that, and yes, the Global Woman does. It does embody that, which is brilliant. So I definitely look forward to seeing you at the next. You're in the London club, aren't you?
Norwich.
Oh, Norwich. Okay. Were
Yes.
you part of
Yes. So
those who started the Norwich um, branch? Did you start that with them?
I didn't start it with them, but I think the one that I went to a couple of weeks ago, I think that was the inaugural
Yes,
Norwich meeting.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
So I'm very grateful I was there. I joined up straight away, and I'm just sort of because one of the MS symptoms that I get is neurological fatigue,
Okay.
and it's not nice. So I have limited energy, which means I have limited time to do sort of things that ideally I'd work 12-hour days, but it's just impossible for me.
Mm,
So
mm,
I'm getting to grips with the Global Woman platform, and
yes.
I've started uh,
Posted.
using some of the courses and
Hmm.
social media development and all that sort of thing. And I'm just loving having the network.
Yes. Having a network is, I did a write up on that, the importance of having a network, because for me, because it's such an intellectual network, it is right up my street. It gets me
Yes.
so thinking. I keep thinking, it's like I just have ideas coming up, and I'm thinking, yeah, I gotta put this on there. And then sometimes I think, you don't want to go and spam them with all your information.
End up getting blocked. Stop spamming us.
So I kind of try and rein it in a bit, and I think, okay, just send this one, send the second one, and then you should be fine, you know
Yeah,
but it is the right platform. I think it is a great
definitely.
platform, and the testimony is brilliant, and your testimony is amazing. So finally,
Okay.
what is your message to our listeners? What do you want to tell them? And tell them how they can, if you've got your business, how they can reach you, and what you got to say to
Absolutely. I can sum it up with you don't have to cope alone.
them.
That's the one thing. Reach out, because there's nothing, even reaching out to me personally, it's like I said, I'm pretty unshockable. There's not a lot you could say that would shock me. And in terms of contacting me, it's Kate at katestapletonservices.co.uk. I've got a new website. Go and check it out. It's amazing. So yeah, and just please reach out.
What is the
There is
website?
help.
Tell us, what's the website address called?
The website, sorry, it's www.katestapletonservices.co.uk. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and it's Kate Stapleton, and you'll be able to see my website from there as well.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, and I will try and put the details in the link as well, in
Fabulous.
notes, so that people can reach you if they have to. So we'll put that
Okay.
in there. So this has been amazing. I can tell you that. I've had
I've really enjoyed it. I'm so glad I came on.
I'm so glad that I had you. It was amazing. Now, your story is a true testament to resilience, faith, and the power of never giving up. Thank you for being
Absolutely.
open, honest, and so generous with your journey. You've been really generous, actually. For our listeners, if you want to connect with Kate or learn more about her coaching and wellness services, we'll have a links in the show notes. And remember, your story matters. It can heal, it can inspire, and it can change lives, starting with your own. Until next time, I'm Kemi Emmanuel, reminding you that your purpose is your pathway. Walk it boldly. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Take care. Have a good evening.